Yes, sir. We are back with another exclusive. This is the Ant Green Show, and I am your host, Mr. Greenheart, aka Rahshawn. And we got another great episode to bring you guys. Nice, quick, and easy. The month of February has been crazy. The Super Bowl recently happened. Also, was NBA AllStar Weekend and NHL AllStar Weekend for fans who like watching hockey. And so there was a lot of excitement going on in the month of February. And we're going to touch mainly on basketball and football. Of course, we want to touch a little bit on the football to start, and then we'll go into the basketball aspect of it. But today, we got one of our great co-hosts from returning from season one. Harris is here, and he's here to give some insight again on some of the stuff that's been happening in the sports world. And also, we're going to go into a few subjects in terms of some league news, some highlights, some recent moves that have happened in the NBA, and then overall, just kind of what the league has been looking like at the midseason point. So Harris, happy to have you back, man. If you want to just give everyone a quick shout out, if you have anything going on personally, and then we'll kind of take it away from there.
For sure. Thanks again, Rahshawn, for having me on the Ant Green Show season 2. Really excited to be back. Had a great time in season 1, just talking sports, hoops, and everything, culture talk with the gang. So excited to be back. Looking forward to another season. And as always, you guys can check me out on Twitter, Harris_Q, and then down below HQ Meals on Instagram for those samosa fix if you're in the Montreal area. And just feel free to give me a reach out on social media if you want to get in touch and in contact to talk sports or anything along that nature.
Yes, sir. Thanks, man. Thanks to have you back on. And for sure, if you're down with the samosa fix, make sure to hit him up. He has his social tag in the on the screen here, so you could always just check him out. But without further ado, we're gonna jump into the episode. So real quick, Harris, Super Bowl was, I believe, this year one of the underdog type of Super Bowls that we haven't seen in a while. It was a refreshing thing to not see a top favorite make it, although LA was favorited. But just to get your quick thoughts on it, man, I know LA was the better team that night. Stafford finally got his just dues, so a lot of people are happy about that. But what were your thoughts overall about the game?
Yeah, and before we just get into the Super Bowl real quick, just wanted to touch back before the Super Bowl. I thought personally this was the most epic playoffs we've had, especially that divisional round, that KC Buffalo game.
Yep.
Every game, like the field goal by San Francisco over the Packers. Every game that weekend was decided by 3 points or less. Even that comeback that Tampa Bay had against the Rams. So fantastic NFL playoffs. Loved it. As for the Super Bowl, the two teams that I was rooting for didn't make it. But I was happy to see the game. And if I had to pick who I was rooting for watching it, was Matthew Stafford. I think just because Joe Burrow's so young, he's going to be back there. He's still got 12, 15 years in this league.
Yeah.
Stafford, for everybody who's watched him, you felt bad for the guy being in Detroit for all those years. And then, of course, his wife having, the brain tumor and surgery and what he's been through.
Right.
And I thought it made for a great game. And again, just like the playoffs, like the divisional round, this came down to the final drive. And Donald got the sack on Burrow. So I thought the game was great. I also thought the halftime show was excellent. I'm sure you could appreciate the halftime show, bringing back the OGs.
That's what's up.
And everything. Yeah, and I thought the Rams defense made plays when they had to. Even in the fourth quarter, I think they had like 3 stops in a row. They gave the ball back to the Rams offense. Stafford at time was struggling, but then when it mattered the most and they got the ball back, I remember watching the game, and I think they got the ball back with 6 minutes left or so, and they were down by the touchdown. And I remember telling my friends, I said, this is Stafford's legacy right here. Like this drive, this is it for him. And what's he do? He goes down, they convert some 4th down, Cooper Kupp. You know the rest of the story.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a great game, well deserved. And they went all in, right? Like you talk about in the NBA, like the Brooklyn Nets, going all in and trading away picks, and they want to win now. And it paid off for them. Like 1 year later, the Stafford trade looks great. And I think they're coming back next year for the repeat. I would hope so. It'll always be fun to watch. Yeah, for sure. And I think the Bengals had a great season too. Listen, I'll be honest. I was in a lot of NFL pools, and I did not pick the Bengals. I'm not even going to pretend like I picked. I didn't even pretend like I picked the Bengals. And you know what? Like I didn't even pick them against Vegas, and then they beat Vegas. Then they played Tennessee, and they said, no, they're not going to beat Tennessee. I took Tennessee. And then they beat Tennessee, and I'm like, okay.
That was
like,
a crazy game. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, overall, great Super Bowl, was great All-Star studded kind of season. I found just everything lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. I thought the NFL did a bang-on job this year with their games and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, the way that it was advertised, the matchups that came, like the legacies that were made. I actually, the whole NFL season was really good, but I definitely thought that each round of the playoffs, it was just like, if you missed one epic game, you probably were already watching another great game. So it made it for an exciting playoff run. And then, you get an underdog story. I mean, the Bengals winning would have been a whole nother level because guys that have never tasted this type of success are all of a sudden champions. But LA, like you said, they were all in, loaded on the defensive end. Matthew Stafford, obviously been a great quarterback for a while, just tough situation in Detroit. I had a quick question I wanted to ask you. How do you feel about the Super Bowl being hosted in home cities of the team that's playing? Do you feel like it should be at a neutral ground, or a home team should have the Super Bowl based on, I know the SoFi Stadium is crazy, but like it kind of had a home court advantage in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, listen, I like it for the fact that up until last year with Tampa and this year for the Rams, it's never happened before, right? I think a couple of years back, 2018, the Vikings had a chance in the NFC Championship game, but then they lost. But I like it because, listen, the odds are so low. It's tough to happen. I think next year, the Super Bowl, I can't remember, it's in Arizona, right? Yeah. It's in Arizona. And the Cardinals, hey, like they were a decent team this year. So I like it. Like, hey, if you can get to the championship,
all right.
You deserve it. So I'm all for it.
Yeah.
And even though they were in their home, I don't know if you know this, and I didn't know this about until recently, even though the Rams were at home, they were considered the road team, and even the visiting locker room, like they were on the visiting side of the locker room.
Whoa,
yeah. So that's kind of like I found that kind of interesting. Like I would thought it might have been like the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. They have their own Dallas Cowboys locker room, and then like the visiting team has their own locker room. So the Rams, they don't have that. They just have the home and away locker room, and they were staying in the visitor. So I thought that was a cool notion. Yeah, but no, I like the idea. I think if you can make it as the home team, hey, like you've earned it. So it was cool.
True. And it hasn't happened often. You're right about that, but just wanted to get some thoughts.
Yeah. And don't forget, like the Rams, I think they were the 4th seed, right? The Packers were up there as the first seed, and then and if the Buccaneers had beaten the Rams, they would have been the home team. So hey, credit to the Rams, man. They won, and
they got it all. Yeah, they got the job done. They got the chip, and a lot of careers now are going to be elevated from that.
For sure.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens next season. Every season is a new season now. Rookies are stepping up. You just don't know what to expect. It's almost anyone's game because the level of play have gotten so high. But hey, man, we'll see what happens for the next NFL season. It was definitely great to watch for the Super Bowl. Now switching gears over into the NBA world. The month of February has been quite an interesting month, both from a trade deadline and movement standpoint, also for some teams now becoming legit contenders. And then, of course, everyone's favorite NBA AllStar Weekend. We're going to start with the AllStar Weekend on this and maybe just go over a quick bit of highlights from the weekend. Now, for me, I felt like this All-Star Weekend, it was a good All-Star Weekend, maybe a little different from the past because there's been a lot of new formats that have been put in play. Like the skills challenge was a lot different. There was a whole bunch of stuff going on. The rookie sophomore, I didn't actually get a chance to watch the full game, but from what I've seen, it was a format where it was like the same way that you had the Team LeBron versus Team Durant. Each team had to score individually, rack up points, and then you have to play for it at the end with your best lineup. So they have new formats going on. I like the All-Star Weekend. I think it was surprising to see some of the things that happened with like the 3-point contest, Karl Anthony Towns taking it, and then Team Cavs, the home team, was able to win the skills challenge. So that was a nice thing. The rookie Evan Mobley showing his versatility, Jared Allen and Darius Garland. And then
and don't forget to make some noise for your boy Obi.
You know, I'm happy the Obi Toppin, New York Knicks, no matter what happens to the team, at least they have, I believe it is, and I have to confirm it, but the most dunk contest wins in history. I mean, the team, it seems like it's just a big city. It's a hard city to play in. But, you know, you get little highlights here and there. So Obi Toppin took the dunk contest. But I want to talk about a little bit about the All-Star game, which is pretty much the biggest part of the event. So Team LeBron versus Team Durant. Team LeBron won 163 to 160, and Steph Curry was the first recipient of the Kobe Bryant MVP trophy and scored 50 points. 16 threes, broke the record. Just wanted to get your thoughts on the All-Star game, how you think the format was, the teams played, and like if it lived up to your expectations.
Yeah, definitely. I think the game lived up to the expectations, no doubt. I think the introduction of the format, you know, with the target score, it's great. Like you watch the game, especially the last 5 minutes, or there's no timer in the fourth, but when they were reaching the target score, like you're seeing Embiid calling for the ball on the block, Giannis is covering him, LeBron wants it. Like honestly, as basketball fans, me and you appreciate all stars of the world playing hard, like playing to win.
Yeah.
And I thought it was absolutely fantastic. The whole game itself. And honestly, I think the NBA has the best All-Star Weekend of all sports, and versus NHL, MLB, NFL. And you saw what they did this year for honoring the 75th team.
Right.
I thought the halftime show was great for them to bring out every legend, whether he was there or not, but to show him some sort of love.
Yeah.
You know, to show everyone like who's been.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. And you know, you saw a picture of Kobe on the scoreboard, and you know that drew some emotions. And then MJ walks out, and him and LeBron embrace. And you know what? Everyone talks about Jordan versus LeBron, LeBron versus Jordan. Like, dude, like let's just appreciate two greats. Like, and that was what's great about them connecting. Like, just appreciate it. We don't need to turn this into a debate. LeBron's not going to be around forever. And I thought it was amazing, man. I loved every single moment of it.
Yeah, man.
And I think LeBron went to 5-0 under the format with his team. And I'm surprised it was that close, because when you look at it on paper, all the good, like the Currys, the LeBrons, the Giannis's, they were all on Team LeBron.
Right.
And I wasn't thinking that, okay, I thought Team Durant was going to get blown out of the water. But, hey, man, they credit to them.
Yep.
They had them playing. So that was a lot of fun, man. I had a good time watching that.
Yeah, no, I exactly like you said, man. It was super exciting. I mean, thinking that Team LeBron was a stack. It was like Jokic, Curry, Giannis. These are like
Trae
video
Young.
game.
Oh, sorry, Trae Young is on the other side. My bad. Yeah.
Yeah, Trae Young was there. So it's like
DeMar DeRozan. Yeah, like.
Yeah, they were loaded, but like still made for a good game. LeBron got it at the end, got that signature turn around, licked his fingers, had Embiid coming for a double team. Like he, you know, Jordan's in the building. He's trying to do some Jordan stuff, shake, and shoot it. Like it was sick. I really liked it. Curry's performance was just crazy. He has cemented himself again in history. I think his career is just going to keep going up and up.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we also want to make sure, if you haven't already done this, the Ant Green Show, we are on YouTube. We are on all social media platforms. So always make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. We're going to have a lot of great things coming up down the line. And this is just one of many great episodes. But no, jumping back into the All-Star, I was going to mention to you about the NBA 75. I don't know if you saw the video of Ray Allen going to give LeBron props. And KG was standing right next to him and kind of had to hold up. Like, do you think these guys are like really like? I mean, they want to chip together, but what do you think their real chemistry?
But hold on,
like?
let me stop you there, because maybe you haven't seen it. There was a picture after in the locker room where them three got together for a picture with their ring. So I think.
Oh yeah.
So I think the beef has been kind of like
overhyped a little. Yeah.
Someone very like, listen, when you're in the same room, like, okay, you'll say what's up. Listen, in the end, dude, you win a championship together. Nothing's gonna take that away, right? Like you have that bond. So yeah, I saw that video, but then I didn't know until after that there was a picture of them together.
They still got together, did a picture.
Yeah. Like, dude, like in the end, like, you know, they were younger back then. You mature over time. But that's it. And one thing I just want to touch back, you were mentioning on Curry cementing himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, you watch Curry and he's lacing those 3-pointers, and like it's like we're surprised, but like why are we surprised? But that's just the element and the suspense. Like this guy's nailing them, looking away, and we're all in awe. I'm like, man, it's just fun to watch.
It's in his blood. It's been in his family lineage forever.
Yeah.
Him, his brother, his dad, and it's like, yeah, it's a great thing to see. But like, man, like at this point, we should just expect it from him. I mean, the thing about shooters, the only thing I would say about like great shooting players in NBA history is that you live and die by the shots. So, I mean, if you're shooting a 3-point shot and that's your signature shot almost, the percentage of that shot going in is still a low percentage. But I mean, if you're a guy like Steph Curry, if you have an open look, I think he's still a pretty clutch player. I mean, he hasn't had as many game winners as like LeBron or, I don't know. There's a lot of other players that have been just as clutch, but either way.
And this year, if you see this year, statistically wise, he's has his lowest field goal percentage, his lowest 3-point percentage. But that's credit. Like that's not really on him. That's because defenses have evolved and they're finding a way to make. Like, dude, you watch a game. This guy, as soon as he catches the ball, 3 people are staring at him.
Right.
So and he's still averaging 25. So I mean, it's definitely gotten harder for him because there's the game's evolving and they're finding a way to beat it. But I mean, he does so much running off the ball. It's amazing. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's a one-of-a-kind player, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens this year for the playoffs because with him playing the way he's playing and the Warriors, I think they have a legitimate shot at winning a chip with the lineup they have. And
of course.
To kind of dive in a bit deeper here now into like the NBA midseason report. Some of the most recent league news to touch on that has been the trades that have happened, and probably the biggest one everyone was waiting for finally happened with the Simmons Harden deal.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to know, who do you think won in that trade? The Brooklyn Nets, or do you think the Sixers now are legitimate contenders?
Listen, as much as everyone's saying that the Sixers, got robbed, or like the Nets won the trade, I think it's a win for the Sixers and for both teams, especially because when you have someone like Simmons who simply, dude, he hasn't played all season, he's on the mental health leave and he's getting paid. Like if you're the 76ers management, it's like, yo, this guy's eating up, $150 million
resources. He's distraction, and you're not utilizing Embiid because you need to have him developing with somebody. So you're losing everywhere.
Yeah, no. So that's it. So and Philly's in the win now mode too, right? Like you have Embiid in his prime.
Yeah.
Daryl Morey, who had James Harden in Houston, like, dude, Simmons, get rid of him. Bring in James Harden. I think it's great. I like the trade. And I know you're in the same division as the Nets, but listen, like you worry, like if you make the trade, you're confident you can beat the Nets. Like if you see them in the playoffs, you just got to believe like, hey, my team is better than yours, and you go at it. And listen, as good as Simmons is, we know he's a great defender. But dude, come to playoffs, he's not going to score. Like he's not going to shoot.
Right.
He's going to be hesitant again. And I like the trade, man. I thought it was great. And Harden, I don't know the full story of what happened to him in Brooklyn. I'm just surprised less than a year later of being there, he already wants out. But hey, I mean, if he wants to play with Embiid and he's happy, I think it's great. But as much as we're talking about the Sixers and the Nets, man, let's not forget the reigning champs. I mean, like we got to give Giannis his respect, man. Until you take his title, like, hey, you got to go through Wisconsin to get to that NBA Finals, man.
Yeah, he's proven, Giannis, now that his team is legitimate. They have this basically the same core. I think they picked up on Serge Ibaka as well.
Yeah,
they have Grayson Allen, who's been playing pretty well for them. Drew Holiday, Middleton, they're always good guys to have. So Milwaukee's a threat. The other moves I wanted to talk about was the Wizards and Mavs. So Porzingis got dealt. He's in with Washington now, and Dinwiddie actually got moved in that deal. So I mean, Dinwiddie and Luka, I'm not sure how that's going to play out, but I know the Chris Tapp, the unicorn, and Luka chemistry just wasn't there. And what can you say? But like, really, you got to make a move, and even if you don't get the best option, you got to maybe just use that trade as a stepping stone to get to something else. It may not even be where exactly they want, but that trade happened. The Rockets and Celtics. Schroeder got sent to Houston, and Daniel Tice is back for Boston. So couple little moves that happened here and there. Just to touch on now, like in terms of the league standings, East and West. The Eastern Conference now, I mean, I know the West has always been good for a while, but there's a lot of good teams. Like the Bulls have been surprising, the Heat. Of course, we have Milwaukee. The Sixers now upgraded. Brooklyn at full strength will also be very deadly. And then you have in the Western Conference, you have Phoenix and the Warriors, who are basically top dogs if you ask anybody. I wanted to get your thoughts. What do you think about the way that the Eastern and Western conferences are shaping? Which teams are really looking like legitimate contenders pretty much?
Yeah, and you know what? I wish Jelani was on this episode because he'd be having a good laugh, man. Like the Lakers, obviously, in the West have been and me being a Laker LeBron fan, huge disappointment. So I'm not even going to say that they're worthy of mentioning right now. I think in the West, honestly, Warriors and the Suns. It's going to come down to that. Yeah. As much as the Jazz are up there as well, I just think Warriors, especially when Chris Paul's back, the Suns are going to be there. I think the Western Finals comes down to Golden State, Phoenix, and if I had to pick a winner, I think Phoenix. I think they're just so motivated. So often you see teams who lose in the finals, they come back with that added motivation. So I think Phoenix wins that, and they win the West. And in the East, listen, it's all up on Kyrie, but I'm going to treat it right now like Kyrie's not going to be available as he regularly is.
Right.
I'm looking at Bucks and Sixers in the East Finals, and coming in the East Finals.
That's
and
nice.
And to win that, listen, I gotta say, I think Giannis is still poised. I think we're looking at my personal opinion, I think we're going towards a rematch of last year's finals, which I think hasn't happened, if I'm not mistaken, since the Warriors and the Cavs when they went 4 years. That when LeBron had that run. So I think we might see it. I think for sure in the West, you got Phoenix, you just committed, and I think the East, Kyrie's there's too many question marks, man, around that. Durant's injured, Kyrie's not available. Simmons, like even right now, no one knows when he's playing.
Yeah, so, I'm watching games and I'm always looking to tune in to see, because they got to start building that chemistry. Like teams that think that they could just throw guys on a roster and not have the chemistry. That's what happened with Brooklyn. Like Harden, and I wanted to touch on it. I think him and Daryl Morey, there might have been some tampering going on to know that he literally left that situation, got the most ideal situation in Brooklyn, realized it wasn't working, and now is in the even better situation with like the best big man since Shaq. So, it's tough to say with other teams, but like right now, like you said, those legitimate contenders with Bucks being there. I wanted to ask you if you thought there were any dark horse teams that could take out some of these contenders, like one from the East and one from the West. Like for me, I'm thinking, as much as they're not proven, I think the Bulls can give people a run for the money, either Bulls, Heat. And then in the West, as much as I want to say Denver, because they have the potential, they just don't have the guys in the lineup. Utah is just always a team that's going to hang around. So I think they're always going to be a dark horse until, they just catch a lucky break. What do you think about the legit dark horses that could take out these contenders?
I think your dark horse in the East, I'll agree with the Bulls. I think over Miami, I think the Bulls with Billy Donovan and just how DeRozan's playing and how they're winning these games. I think they could be the dark horse in the East. And it's funny we're saying dark horse. They're one game out of first, but we're not giving them the, or at least I'm not giving them that respect yet. But yeah, I think the dark horse in the East, the Bulls, and in the West. Listen, as funny as it sounds to say, even though they were supposed to be competing for a championship, like the Lakers, if they can win that play-in tournament, and you get LeBron in the 8th seed versus either Phoenix or Golden State, no matter how old LeBron is, if LeBron's healthy and Davis is back, they can make a run and go at it. It's just been such a disaster of a season because of the injuries and the whole Westbrook migration.
Experiment, yeah.
Yeah, experiment, yeah. And listen, like just to stay on top, like not to get off topic, like LeBron's is to blame for that Westbrook thing. As much as he's trying to throw shade at Pelinka, like, dude, you put
He
this
orchestrated it, yeah.
Yeah, you orchestrated. You wanted Russell Westbrook. He came to you and Davis in the summer. You wanted him. Like, dude, you got to live with what you eat, also, right? Like, you wanted it. You're in this mess. There's no bailing out now. Trade him.
Yeah.
Make it work. Like, get something off. I still think Westbrook needs to come off the bench now at this stage of his career. I don't know if he will because of his ego, and I think Frank Vogel's not the coach for this team. But I'm just saying, a healthy LeBron in the playoffs can make some noise, man. I think they could be the dark horse for it. So,
I agree. Yeah, the Lakers, and I actually really overlooked them because of what's been happening. But you're right. Them full strength, they get into the playoffs. If it is as a play-in or even as that bottom 6 seed, they have the experience. They have the vets. They have the talent. The size is decent. I think that them losing JaVale when they had JaVale, them losing. I don't think the Schroeder Montrez experiment really worked, but
the Caruso hurt them. Them losing Caruso hurt, and the KCP
and Caruso for that defense, that second unit. But Malik Monk has been really like a surprise story for them. Melo's been producing pretty well. I think we just have to live with who Westbrook is, and everybody else just has to play their role. But like, it's maybe at this point of his career, he might not be able to change too much of his game. He's going to be who he is. So you live and die with his results. But it's a really interesting thing to see how this NBA season is going to shape up, especially for the playoffs. But anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, the last thing we want to touch on real quick, I'm going to throw this at you, Harris, here. It is a start, bench, and cut. We're going to go with the best players that got injured in their career that couldn't make it that far. I'll throw it out at you. These guys I have is Tracy McGrady, Grant Hill, and Penny Hardaway. Who would you start? Who would you bench? And who would you cut?
Man, that's a good question. And I thought you might throw a Derrick Rose in there. But Penny, but I'm saying you gotta
mostly in those positions, pretty much. Yeah.
I'm saying you gotta start Grant Hill. And there might be a little bias because he's one of my all-time favorite players. This guy was almost like, flirting with the walking triple-double, 25 and 8 and 8 throughout.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say start Grant Hill, cut McGrady, and bench Hardaway. Yeah. So that's I know that might come off as some difficult people, but that's who I got to go with. That's who I got to roll with. Man.
Little Tormo. Yeah, man. I think G Hill being that pick, he was projected to be the next Jordan. He had the talent to do it. Injuries is a horrible thing. Derrick Rose is an honorable mention, but definitely another time for conversation about like maybe point guards that weren't able to do it. But T-Mac, Grant Hill, McGrady would have had great careers. But I guess sometimes you just always wonder. But hey, what can you do really? But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to the Ant Green Show today. I'm your host, Mr. Greenhart Harris. Make sure to follow him on all of his social media platforms. Make sure to follow the Ant Green Show on all social media platforms. We're going to make sure to keep things fresh and funky. In future episodes, we want to get more of the guys back so that we can have bigger debates, because definitely the NBA 75 list is important. We'll make sure to tune back in on the next episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Take care. Peace.